I think there'll always be people who want to put more effort into things.
Paul Smith, how are you?
I'm good, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks. I was wondering, are the excitement you feel when you hear a good song and when you see a good photograph, are they similar?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've always been interested in creative things, and I suppose when I was a child my mother and father would encourage me to draw because that was one of the things that I was good at, you know, instead of maths, which I wasn't that good at. So when I see things of an artistic nature, whether it's, or if I hear something, I tend to be excited, you know, and I have an affiliation with it. You know, I like going to galleries and looking through books, and I've got lots of books of photographs at home on my shelves, and you know, it gives you a lot of pleasure when you see something that is aesthetically pleasing. And the same with the song, you know, it kind of improves your demeanour, improves your life for like 3 minutes if you hear a great song on the radio, or if you put on one of your favourite records and, you know, on vinyl, and it's like 20 minutes worth of this amazing music, and you have to get up and turn it over and think about it again. You know, I like that format. And when I was a child, you know, I would just get my CD player, get my headphones on, and just immerse myself in somebody else's world. And I think that what you're doing is somebody has created a little world for you, whether it's 3 minutes or a full album of 45 minutes worth of stuff. Same with a photograph, people capture a moment or set up something that they think will stimulate other people. And when I make music now, I look at the things that I like and I go, yeah, I want to do something like that. I want to inspire that same feeling that I've just got from this piece of art or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But I can imagine that the sensation is entirely different between hearing a song and seeing a photograph, because hearing a song is perhaps a much more physical experience. You know, you want to get up and shout or something.
Absolutely, yeah. I think a lot of visual art is more reflective. You also, certainly with more theoretical things or you know, conceptual things, you need to know a little bit more about it, and you have to think a bit more, and a lot of the satisfaction comes from thinking about it. Whereas with music, obviously it hits you straight away, but then there are other things, you know, like the artwork. You know, I spend ages on the artwork, so that when you're listening to something, you've got the lyrics there as well. You can get into those a little bit easier if they're in front of you, and while you listen to the record, and again you can look at the artwork. And some of my favourite records, like My Bloody Valentine's, Loveless, I see it, and when I listen to it, I see the red cover. You know, I think of it as a red album, and so there are other things around the music as well that can kind of, you can have that reflection on. But you're right, it is more physical, especially if something's really upbeat. It can make you want to dance, make you want to jump around, and you feel excited. And if something's kind of reflective or melancholy, you know, it throws up intense feelings and memories in your own mind, not just the ones that the singer is singing about.
Mm-hmm. There was a particular thing that struck me on your website. You quoted the poet Robin Robertson as saying, "Art is difficult, and I don't see why we should shy away from it. We live in such a disposable age that anything that needs a second thought is ignored." That's rather harsh, or something. Is that irreversible? Is that an irreversible development, do you think?
Not really. I think there'll always be people who want to put more effort into things. You know, I want to put a lot of effort into the music I make, and I like different kinds of music. Some music just hits you, and it's, you know, it's like the Ramones for 2 minutes of your life. It's like jugga jugga jugga. It's dead simple, but I don't think that's disposable necessarily. You know, I love that kind of instant quality that music can give you. And again, you know, a piece of artwork that's just a bit of a visual joke, you know, that you kind of go, that's funny, and then you kind of think about it later. You know, but it has that instant quality. You know, I don't think Robin Robertson's talking about things like that. I think there's a lot of things are made purely to make money that are supposed to be creative, and that's not right for me. You know, I just think and why would you do it? You know, it's a bit boring. You know, it makes creative things more boring than they should be. And it is quite hard to finally create something. You know, I don't necessarily believe in the struggling artist who's, you know, oh, what shall I do next? And, you know, pretending that they're important in some way. You know, I think we're all pretty similar, and we have different ways of going about things. But you know, to actually realize a song fully, it can be quite difficult. And, you know, there's the instant I've written a song, and then thinking about it and coming up with different chord sequences and refining the lyrics. And sometimes they're just fine as they are, but then you end up going back to the record. And like my record, for example, most of the songs were recorded in a day. And then I would just leave them for months and months, and then I would maybe come back and put an extra guitar on them. Or you know, when it came down to mixing them, that took ages, and it was like a real struggle to get the mix right, because we hadn't done it in a professional way. It was just done in somebody's bedroom, so we hadn't made that preparation that people do in professional studios, where everything's labelled and everything's recorded really well. You know, my album's not recorded in a professional way, but I like the sound, so it made sense to me to kind of struggle to mix it. So going back to your question, you know, I think that disposable quality where it's just like, this'll do, that's not, you know, that's a bad attitude. And I think, you know, it's fun to have things that are a bit more disposable, but that I think there is a culture where it's not really about anything. It doesn't have any content, it doesn't really have any joy in it or fun, and it's just cynical, really. You know, it's like a lot of stuff that you see on television.